Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Snowbeck. Today we are going to learn about Unit 8, Lesson 1, areas of parallelograms and rectangles. And you probably have seen this formula before. To find the area of something, that's like how much space something takes up, the formula goes like this. Area equals base times height. And the base and the height have to be perpendicular. So if the base is like the bottom of this, then imagine that this dotted line comes down and it's perpendicular or meets it at 90 degrees. That would be the height. So for a parallelogram, if you just take the base times the height, you will get the area. And it also works for a rectangle. Your rectangle, of course, would be a parallelogram. It just has four 90-degree corners. So this is the base and this is the height. And it also works for a square, because a square is also a rectangle because it has four 90-degree corners. It's just that it has four congruent sides as well. But again, you could do base times height, and that would give you the area. Find the perimeter and area of each parallelogram. Let's talk about perimeter for a minute. Do you guys remember what perimeter means? Perimeter means the distance around the outside of something. So if I add this side plus this side plus this side plus this side, if I add up all four of those sides, I would get the perimeter. Now, if this is a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. We learned that a few chapters ago or a few units ago. So this side over here is also 12 meters, and this side up here is also 16 meters. Opposite sides are congruent. So to get the perimeter, we're just going to add 12 plus 16 plus 12 plus 16. Add up all of those sides. And I just typed it into my calculator, and when I did that, I got 56. Now we want to label this. This is the distance around the outside of the shape, and so that would be meters. It's a length. But next they want us to find the area. Now remember our formula for area of a parallelogram. Area is going to equal base times height. So think about what's the base here. Well, I would call the 16 the base. And what's the height here? The height is going to be that dotted line or the 10. So I do 16 times 10, which is 160. And when you label area, it has to be units squared. And so in this case, it's meters squared. 1b, find the perimeter and area of each parallelogram. So on this one, then we want to start by finding the perimeter. Remember, perimeter is the distance around. And remember, if it's a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. So this side on the right would be 10 inches, and the side at the top would be 6 inches. It would be equal to the side across from it. So remember, for perimeter, we're going to take all of those sides and add them together. So 10, 6, 10, 6. It's the distance around the outside. So 10 plus 6 plus 10 plus 6 is 32, and it would be inches. Next, we're going to take the area. Area is base times height. Now this is a little tricky. You have to think about what is the area. And so think about the base and the height. Where is the base and where is the height? Well, they have to be perpendicular to each other. And so the base I would consider to be this 10, and the height I would consider to be this 5. And so let's just write that down. Base is 10. Height is 5, and the reason I think that is because they're the two that, if you look at them, the 10 and the 5 meet at 90 degrees. You can see that little 90-degree box in here. See that in there? Okay, so here we go. We're just going to write 10 times 5, which is 50, but your label has to be inches squared. Area always has to have square units. Number 1c, find the perimeter and area of each parallelogram. Well, we're talking about the shaded area. We want to find the perimeter around that blue shaded parallelogram and the area of it. I know this side would be 23 feet because it's equivalent to the side across from it. It's congruent to that 23-foot side. But I don't think I know this side. I don't have a measurement for that. So the question is, can we find it? And yes, we can. If you use this red triangle off on the left side, can't we do some Pythagorean theorem? Let's call this side x, and let's go 24 squared plus 7 squared equals x squared. Look at this triangle over here on the left and do a little Pythagorean theorem. So if you type in your calculator 24 squared, you get 576. 7 squared is 49, and that equals x squared. Then add 576 plus 49, it's 625. And then think about, how do you get rid of x squared? You have to do the square root, and whatever you do to one side, do to the other side. The square root of 625 is 25. So I'm just going to erase my x, and I'm actually going to change that so that it says 25 feet. And if that side is 25 feet, so is the opposite side. Great. Now we can finally find the perimeter. So remember, perimeter, let me outline it. It's going to be 23 plus 25 plus 23 plus 25. Only the distance around the blue shaded figure. So 23 plus 25 plus 23 plus 25. And if we add all of that together, we get 96, and 96 would be labeled with feet, the distance around. Now this next part's interesting. We're going to do the area, which is going to be base times height. So what's the base and what's the height? Well, I think the base is this 23, and the height is actually over here on the side. So even though it's not inside, imagine like moving it this way. This height would be 24. So the base is the blue 23 at the bottom. Let me erase some of this and so you can just see it a little better. The base is down here, and the height is over here. So again, the base is 23, the height is 24. It's that dotted line, because if we moved it over here, this would also be 24, and that would be perpendicular to this base. So it's 23 times 24. 23 times 24 is 552, and it's feet squared. Find the perimeter and area of this parallelogram. So if the top is 21, this bottom must also be 21. And the left side must be 17. To find the perimeter then, think about what you have to add. You're going to add 21, 17, 21, 17. So I'm just going to write that over here. 21 plus 17 plus 21 plus 17. Add all that up. I got 76 centimeters would be the perimeter around the outside of the shape. Area is going to be base times height. I can see the base is 21. But the height, this would be the height, and I don't know what that height is. It's unknown at this time. So we're going to do some Pythagorean theorem and try to figure that out. And we're going to use this triangle over here. I'll outline it in red to do the Pythagorean theorem and find the height. So it's going to have to be, the C is your 17. So it's going to go h squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. That longest side has to go in the C spot. Remember, we're doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Yeah, the C is always the hypotenuse, or the longest side. Not much we can do with h squared. 8 squared is 64. 17 squared is 289. Subtract your 64, and we get h squared equals 225. And then you have to do square root, square root. H equals 15. Okay, so now we have our two numbers that we need. So area is going to be 21 times 15. And 21 times 15 is 315, and it's going to be centimeters squared. Last question, number 2. Find the value of x. So you can see we have a parallelogram here, and we know the base is 8, but we don't know the height. That's what we want to find. But up above, you'll see they do tell us the area. So I see some key things here. I know area for a parallelogram is base times height, so let's plug in what we know. Well, the area is 148, so 148 goes in for the A. The base is 8. The height, that would be this x over here, so we'll just put x in there. We can solve this for x. You're just going to divide by 8. So then you have to figure out what is 148 divided by 8. I typed that in, and I got 18.5 equals x. So what is the value of x? Well, it's 18.5 meters. Will you guys please try Unit 8, Practice 1? If you need help, just ask for help, and have a great day.